This is take two because aircraft think that, you know, 1,200 feet is an acceptable takeoff altitude over residential. Thanks. But let's talk about Ulysses. But before we do, today's video is sponsored by me, Deggy the Punisher, and Q Dami the Gallant, two truly notorious monsters of Castle Ostroja, with a respawn timer of 50 minutes to 5 hours. What's really funny is to this day, I don't think anyone knows what the actual placeholder for either of those NMs was. Now, even though Treasure Hunter didn't have an effect, I opted to go Thief Warrior for all of my hunting, mostly because Thief AF feet gave me access to a longer flee duration for repositioning. It was just, I don't know, seemed more effective to me. I was camping those things for 5 agonizing months. Give it a juice bit. That's what I think of those notorious monsters. The Fumakyahan, that took me, I think, about 40 attempts, 42, something like that. Because I recall thinking of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy when I got them, so it's probably 42. But the Ochudo's Kote, that was like 80 kills, something like that. It was 5 months. I was stacking up my monk, ahead of time. And this was around the time, endgame shells were going through a tumultuous time. Bloodberry stopped just logging on at all, ever. He just stopped playing the game. And he was in charge of Moonglow. And for like 2 weeks or so, we all kind of just leveled stuff up, camped this and that, and then, we kind of realized, like, hey, where's Bloodberry? Where'd he go? Well, as I recall, Breeze and Mocha kind of took up like leadership responsibilities. But Ulysses, he was always on hand as like the advisor of like, hey, that's dumb, don't do that. That type of person, that is always necessary. But there were very few black mages that I remember from that game. There's plenty of them. But I remember Ulysses, because him and Mocha were always the black mages that, I would rely on to actually use Sleep Gatoo, actually sleep mobs, actually have enfeebling gear in their macros to put mobs to sleep with. And more than just playing black mage, he knew how to type quickly between spells to direct people and what was necessary to do. That was the type of person that he was. That was how I remember him. Now, around this time, I was just gearing up my monk. I wasn't actively leveling it. I had already gotten my samurai to like max level, and it was just kind of like whatever. I'm gonna do whatever. In the meantime, I don't really like leveling things up and then having to stop and acquire equipment. I'm gonna get it all lined up until about level 72, something like that, and then around then is when you start typically using endgame gear instead. So I'm camping cross counters as paladin thief, and this was around the time that Ulysses, I forget what eastern job he was gonna level, but I lent him my Ochudo's Kote and my Fumakyahan. And during all the not so great times of the link shell breaking up, Ulysses changed servers. And then after I got my cross counters, I was like looking over my monk gear, and I'm like, all right, I got like everything I need, man, up until like level 70. I think I'm gonna like gear myself up a bit and go find somewhere to like sub white mage, drink pineapple juice, and level up my guard skill, right? My monk was level 42. So I start getting my equipment, and I'm like, huh, where's my fumas? Where's my coats? It's not my Mog satchel. It's not my storage. You can't store it in the NPC storage. They're not part of a set. That's weird. Huh. Where... Does Ulysses have my stuff still? Yo, he just like changed servers last month. And this is back when there was a 3-month limit before you could change servers again. So I messaged Ulysses on the Moonglow forums. I was like, hey, do you still have my Fumas? My Ochuto's Kote? He messages me back just like, oh shit. Like 5 minutes later, he messages me like, all right, look, I can fix this. He set it up to have a friend of his take the unintentionally pilfered items and come to Leviathan, and he sent them to me in my inbox. And I don't know what kind of strings he had to pull. I don't know if he was like, bro, like, I'll hook you up with fish and chips for like a week or something. I don't know what he had to pull, but this dude transferred servers to Leviathan. And some name I've never seen before hits me up like, boom. Here's your stuff back. So I'm like, I'm really glad that he looked at those PMs, because, you know, I think we both just forgot about them completely, but he got them back to me. You know, like, that's always something that's really stood out to me, because I think a lot of people in that situation would just kind of be like, yeah, well, I guess I do still have them, huh? Oh well. But Ulysses did what was necessary to make it right. And that's great, because I like the name Ulysses because of Ulysses. You know, anytime I think of that name, I think of both famous American Army General Ulysses S. Grant, but I also think of Ulysses, the Taru Black Mage, who, a little son of a bitch, always put a smile on my face. Honestly, like, you know, I didn't have a lot of friends growing up, and consequently, I never really laughed or smiled a lot. But Ulysses was such a smart ass that it always put a smile on my face. Like, he was one of the few people whose just general demeanor, it always cheered me up. And I'll always remember him really fondly because, man, I don't know a lot of people that would go so far out of their way to bring an item back to someone that they didn't mean to take. Because, like, dude, I've had people take stuff from me in real life by mistake, and they made no effort to get it back to me. You know, one of them, because, like, I am not a wealthy man. You know, I have little money, okay? And 1 year, I'm in like a Macy's, it's on like December 25th or December 28th. I think I was going to say that, but that is also the day my dad died, and I think my mind tried to defer away from it. I have a lot of bad memories in December, unfortunately. But there was this nice Casio watch, man. Solar powered, atomic setting. I don't want to go into too much detail because I miss it a lot. But this thing was supposed to go for like $270 USD. That's pretty expensive for a watch for me. But they had it on sale because it was the last one. I was like, yeah, it's $90. I'm like, dude, this is probably the nicest watch that my broke ass is ever gonna get. This is just a nice ass watch, dude. And my first girlfriend, after she went crazy and left me and ran all the way from Southern California around LA all the way back up to Merced, California, which is like on the border of the state of Oregon. It's really kind of far. Like, it's the distance of the entirety of Japan, essentially. And she intentionally took my watch as a memento, because she was a crazy rich girl. Like, her father invented some crazy weird hammer. I might be a little intoxicated right now, but hey, let's keep going. She had access to what she called Daddy's gold card. Oh man, she loved to spend on that thing, bro. She bought makeup every single day. She bought ice cream cupcakes every single day from Cold Stone. But man, the crazy mansion that she lived in this, like, just creepy gated community. I've never seen such a large and empty house, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of times when I walk into a person's house, it's decorated with something that at least resembles that human beings live here. But all these rich people's houses, like, they're so big inside, but there's like nothing in there. There's no spirit of hospitality in them. It's oppressive, and being inside of them just makes you hostile and negative. It's really kind of gross, actually. But like, her dad invented some like hammer that people use before workouts. It's made of some special kind of metal that, like, you just smack it on the board, and the vibrations from the hammer loosen up your muscles so that you get a more, conducive workout doing what you normally do. And he was like a multi-millionaire. Parents divorced over money. The mom was a highly intelligent medical doctor. But the daughter, nah, she was crazy, bro. She had access to an unlimited amount of money. And so to her, that watch, that very expensive watch that my broke ass could actually afford, and that freak chance that I had, a nice Christmas present to myself for once. Nah, man, she just took it because how expensive it was relative to her. That's like, oh, well, that's just like one day's worth of makeup and food. So, like, who cares? But man, I've never worn a watch since then, actually. I used to wear watches all the time. When I was a kid, I used to wear 2 watches. Kids used to ask me all the time, why do you wear 2 watches? I'm like, well, there's one on my left wrist here. That's a calculator, because I suck at math. There's one on my right wrist. This is one of those new Casio TV remotes, so I can control my TV and a cable box from my wrist. And also I can have 2 stopwatches going at the same time to keep track of kids doing sprints back and forth on the playground. It was cool to have 2 watches. But man, after I got that robbed from me, I never wore a watch again. Hey, let's do this completely impromptu. Hey, Mom. Do you remember Ulysses from Final Fantasy XI?
I do.
What do you remember about Ulysses?
He was pretty cool.
Yeah, okay, see. Even my mom says Ulysses is pretty cool. So, that should tell you something. She didn't even play Final Fantasy XI. She just kind of sat and watched. But even in just the time that she watched me do endgame things, even she could tell you Ulysses was a really cool ass dude. So hats off to him for actually returning my property. I got pretty used to people just taking my shit and running off with it and not caring. So I specifically remember those things he got back to me. I love you, dude. You're a cool guy.